guys, we got the missiles are coming. Fire!
Meat?
But then let's hide.
Wait, one, go.
Episode 228, UFC Paris. Let's go. A 2-week break. We're back. UFC Shanghai was 2 weeks ago. It was a decent week for the two of us. Your boy went 3-2. You went 2-3. We missed the meatlock though. Our boy Kevin Borralho did not come through. We thought that it could be a dink dog lock against Sumu Darji, but Sumu fought a good fight, and we missed that one, meat boy. So we got to get back on track this week. I don't want to take too much time recapping UFC Shanghai. If you're here for this week's locks, head straight to the timestamps in the comments. But I do, meat boy, want to talk about Michel Pereira versus Kyle Daukaus. And real quick, I'm going to run the tape from last week. He's going to find himself on the bottom underneath Kyle Daukaus. And Kyle Daukaus, Chris's brother, is going to finish Michel Pereira with some gnarly elbows, some ground and pound, a straight up bloody TKO that sends Michel Pereira as far away from the UFC as possible, because I'm done with Michel Pereira. I think the dude is awful, and I think Kyle Daukaus, as a dog in this one, is going to have some interesting life. So for me, at plus 220, Kyle Daukaus comes in and not only beats Michel Pereira, he dominates and he finishes Michel Pereira.
What is he, 24, but he looks 38? Like, I don't know. He's very young, though. He's got at least 5-6 years in the UFC. If he doesn't get cut, I knock on wood, I hope he stays. I need to see more backflips. I need to see some more goofy, funny stuff. That's my guy, but dang, is he bad.
Yeah, fair enough. I like the Johnny Walker comp a lot. He's 31, is Michel Pereira. He's got 50 fights. Obviously looks a lot older for sure, but you're right. He's still young. Technically, perhaps he can have a Johnny Walker type resurgence and find a way to get his career back on track. But that's 3 straight L's. He's getting absolutely smoked, and we'll see what Kyle Daukaus makes next. But speaking of Johnny Walker, let's just jump straight to that meat event. Zhang Ming Yang, the entire card was built around him. The UFC was trying to create a second Chinese superstar, right? You got Weili Zhang at flyweight, now jumping up to 125, and they were hopeful that Zhang Ming Yang would be the next Chinese face of light heavyweight, but Johnny Walker had a different story. It was the Johnny Walker comeback tour, and Johnny landed some nice kicks, ultimately basically exploded Zhang Ming Yang's knee and finished him on the ground with strikes in a fight that Mark Goddard let go on longer than he usually does. So you could tell Goddard was like, I'm trying not to get involved in this one. Obviously, we're trying to preserve the Zhang Ming Yang hype, but Johnny Walker eventually landed way too many strikes, and even Mark, not so Goddard, had to jump in. So what'd you make of the meat event? Do you think Johnny Walker's back? And if so, how far is this return going to go?
Yeah, the Johnny Walker win blew my mind, to be honest. I did not see that coming. He beat him with a leg kick right to the fib, and props to him. I hope Johnny uses this momentum and comes back, because I'm a fan of Johnny Walker. We are OG fans from day one, and then he fell off, but he made a resurgence, then he fell off, and maybe this is resurgence part 2 of his journey. So I'm excited for it. Always love to watch Johnny Walker, because he either gets a knockout finish or gets knocked out goofily, and I'm in it for both of those.
Yeah, 100%. Any Johnny Walker fight, the outcome is funny regardless of whether he wins or loses. And perhaps 2025 going into 26 could be the year of the double Walker. I mean, we got Johnny Walker's back. His brother Walter Walker keeps heel hooking everyone. So we'll see what's next for the Walker boys. But you ready to swap us through, me boy? There's been a 2-week break. We're in Paris this weekend. Should we jump into the meatlock?
Yeah, let's get right into the meatlock.
Swap us through then. It's the meatlock. You see the text, and it's also the meat event. We have a banger of a fight in this meat event, and it's Nasruddin Imavov taking on Kyle Borralho. And we like Kyle Borralho in this one, even though it's in Imavov's backyard. There's going to be the hometown judging aspect if somehow these rounds are close and if somehow this goes the distance. But we think that this is the continuation of the Fighting Nerds takeover, and Kyle Borralho has more impressive wins than does Imavov, and we see this being a competitive matchup, but one that ultimately Caio finds a way to get done. So in this meatlock, we're rolling with the Fighting Nerd. What do you like about Kyle Borralho? How do you think he gets this one done over Imavov? And is it going the distance, or do you expect the Nerd to put away Imavov in this meatlock?
Yeah, Borralho, I think, is definitely going to put away Imavov. I think it's going to be submission or TKO ground and pound. I just think Borralho is just a whole different level. I do like Imavov. I think Imavov is an awesome fighter, a great fighter, but I think the Fighting Nerds are the real deal, and I think he's going to get this done pretty dominant fashion and just show that why he's the next contender to be a champ potentially.
Yeah, very nice. And again, it's no shade on Imavov, right? Like we're bullish on Nasruddin as well. We think he is a good fighter and he has picked up some nice wins, but we just think Kyle Borralho, if we're looking at next competitors for the belt, perhaps future title challengers, Kyle Borralho fits that bill a little bit closer than does Imavov. So we like Borralho a lot in this one. We like him to continue his fat win streak. He's been picking up a lot of performance of the night bonuses, so do you anticipate that again? And if you're picking Kyle Borralho by a finish, is it early or is it often?
Definitely early, definitely often. I'm thinking second round submission.
Second round finish for Kyle Borralho. I'm going to go third round finish. I do think he puts him away, though. I like the submission aspect, and Tapology is pretty split. It's basically 50-50. A lot of beige on both sides, though, so they think this fight will go the distance. There might be some juicy beef to find for the Caio finish, because if everyone's anticipating a close decision and Kyle Borralho is really able to demonstrate how much more of a grappler and finisher he is on the ground, then there could be some juicy numbers to capitalize on there for sure. So let's roll Borralho for this meat lock. Keeping it simple, throwing down an easy 138, net 100, get us back on track, right? Kevin Borjas kept us off the track last week, but Kyle Borralho, the fighting nerd, gets us back this week. Any last thoughts on the Milan?
No, this is an absolute lock nonetheless.
Yeah, swap us through then. We got Andres Gustafsson taking on Renat Fakhretdinov. And this is an interesting fight, right? Because Renat Fakhretdinov is a dude who had a lot of hype. We've meatlocked him before. He had one hiccup where it went to a draw against Eliseo Zalewski dos Santos, but essentially since then he's just been dominating everyone, picking up finishes. Most recently got a decision over Carlos Leal in a fight that some people were anticipating Carlos to be more competitive in, but the Gladiator Renat is a dude who, despite that one draw of a hiccup, continues to win fights. He's only 33 years old, and he finds himself in this one in a pick'em against a guy in Andres Bain Gustafsson, who is 12-2, only has 14 fights. He's much older than is his opponent Renat, and while yes, he's been looking dominant too, the fact that this is a pick'em is a little bit surprising to me because even though Bain absolutely smoked Chaos Williams just a few months ago and really ragdolled him as a sizable dog, to me, the odds makers are inflating that performance a little bit too much by having him at pick'em value against a guy as good and well-rounded as Renat. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Do you too think that this should be a pick'em, or could this be potentially juicy value for Renat at pick'em value?
No, I think this is pretty juicy for Renat. This might be the last time we ever see Renat with these kind of odds. I gotta go with Renat. I think Renat wins this pretty easy. And I think he's gonna put a statement on why he is one of the best in the division. He's had a few questionable things, but I think he is the real deal, and this is gonna show that even more.
Yeah, I'm seeing it the exact same way, Meatboy. I think this is juicy value for the Gladiator or not. And again, Gustafsson's a tough guy. He just had a beautiful performance, probably the best of that fight card when he dominated Chaos Williams as a dog. But I think there's a little bit of overvalue here, and Tapology's all over Gustafsson. 57% is rolling with him, 43% going with Renat. There's a good majority for beige decision for Gustafsson, but a lot of people do think he's going to KO Renat. Do you see any world where Renat gets finished? And if not, do you see a world where Renat potentially picks up a finish? Because this is a dude who historically has a lot of finishes. Yes, he's been going to the distance most recently, and Tapology thinks that if Renat wins, it will be decision. But do you potentially see some life for a Renat Fakhretdinov finish?
I don't know. I just don't see Renat getting finished. I think Renat gets a finish or wins by decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there could be some finish life for sure. So let's roll with Renat on this one. Whether it's finish, whether it's decision, let us know in the comments, or let us know if we're tripping and we are underestimating the Gustafsson value. And perhaps this is the last time you see Andreas Gustafsson at pick'em value. We shall see. But swap us through me, boy. This next one is a fun one. It's our boy Marcin Tybura taking on Ante Delija, and Ante Delija is a PFL guy coming into the UFC trying to establish some hype. And who do you give a potential hype beast debutant fighter to? Marcin Tybura, obviously. Tybura is the ultimate gatekeeper, the ultimate levels test, a Meat Boy OG, and someone we like to frequently meatlock. And we even discussed a potential meatlock for him on this one, but liked our boy Kyle a little bit more. What are your thoughts on this heavyweight meatdown? It's pick'em value, so the odds makers are not really bullish on either guy. Do you think this is going to be too much too soon for Ante Delija and Marcin Tibura, like he always does, will turn back this hype beast debutant, or is the Tibura story? I mean, the dude is getting older. Is it potentially over?
Yeah, man, I I think Tybura is definitely gonna destroy the hype beast. Tybura never fails. Whenever you think he's gonna lose, most likely he wins. He probably gets rocked once or twice, but he's a veteran. He has crazy gas. He has crazy stand-up game, durability, and cardio and ground game. So I just don't know how he doesn't win this. Tybura is a legend, and he will win this for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. And a lot of people don't know this is a rematch, right? These two dudes fought way back for the M1 Global Heavyweight Championship back in 2015, and Tibura finished Ante Delija in the first round. So, yes, Tibura is not known to be a brutal finisher, but he was still able to put this dude out within 5 minutes. So, I see this being nothing different. Maybe it could be a decision, but I see Tibura finding ways to get this one done. And I think the best win T. Burroughs had was his most recent fight against Mick Parkin, and perhaps you and I even forgot about that fight, but T. Burrow technically just got a victory a few months ago over Mick Parkin, aka Meat Larkin. So I don't see any world where the PFL GOAT, Ante Delija, is better than Meat Larkin, and in so doing, I think Ante Delija gets absolutely smoked by Marcin T. Burrow. He is going to be the younger fighter, right? He's 35, T. Burrow's 39. That's the only cause for concern, but if we're both going T-Burrow, do you see him going snoozer of a decision, Snorlax style, or do you see him finishing Ante Delija again?
Yeah, man, I could see him. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a snoozer. I think it'll be a fun fight. But yeah, I think Tybura is gonna win by a finish, either submission or KO.
Yeah, let's roll. Let's go T-Burrow by finish. Either way, Marcin T-Burrow is going to find a way to get this one done despite being 40, despite being the OG. He's got to be better than what the PFL has to offer. You and I are always picking on the other side of Bellator, the other side of PFL. Nothing will change here, especially when it involves our boy Marcin T-Burrow. And speaking of, me boy, swap us through because we got another PFL, another Bellator hype beast, Patricio Pitbull taking on Losane Keita. And this one's super fascinating because Pitbull finally is a sizable dog despite his most recent contest beating Dan Ige. And Dan Ige, we know, is like a top 10 guy, a dude who beats a lot of guys at 145. And the fact that Pitbull was able to pick up that victory over Dan Ige, to me, suggested he might get a bigger name opportunity in his next fight. But he's fighting in a YOLO fight on the road against a guy in Losane Keita who's making his debut with a lot of fanfare, a lot of attention. Seems to me, though, like a strange matchup. And the fact that Keita, unproven debutant, is a minus 230 and Pitbull with plus 176, I don't know. Could there be some dog value for the Pitbull in this one? Or is Losane Keita that good and Patricio Pitbull is just that bad?
I I think Patricio Pitbull is that bad, to be honest. Um, But in this one, I think he's gonna win. I mean, he did just beat Danny Ige. Danny Ige is no joke. But I just don't. I can't ride with the hype beast until I see him perform. If he destroys Pitbull, that would be very impressive. Because I mean, even though Pitbull isn't a top five, top 10 fight, I mean, I guess he could be top 10 because he just beat Ige. But he's not top five from what we've seen. Still an impressive win. He was the GOAT of Bellator, and he's still a very solid fighter for the UFC.
Yeah, he's he's super solid, and like we said, we've been tough on the Bellator guys, the PFL guys, but sometimes the odds are what they are, and I think there's some good value for him at plus 176. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Keita who, yes, he's been looking great. He's the Octagon lightweight championship fighter. He's a dude who's been picking up some nice wins, but his best wins are against Ronald Paradiser, Agi Sardari, Nico Samsonadze. He's beaten a lot of guys that aren't good, right? And Patricio Pitbull, meanwhile, has been in there with the best of the best. Who's in there with Yair, went the distance, just picked up a win against Dan Ige. I mean, you got to imagine he's going to be ready for what Keita has to bring him. And in this fight, me boy, do you anticipate any grappling? Because to me, Keita's this guy who's trying to stand and bang. Any world where perhaps Pitbull can make this interesting, test the Belgian fighter's grappling, and perhaps find ways to win rounds via the wrestling? Or is Pitbull going to go out there and try to stand and bang with this guy?
I would imagine he's going to go a little bit of all of it. Ideally, he, uses the grappling, mixes up with striking, and just a full complete fighter to really test the guy. And if he's weak in grappling, he's going to stick to it. He does have a high fight IQ where he should know with his experience and time in the ring, or in the octagon that he should be able to exploit this kid pretty quick if there is something to exploit. So we shall see how that goes. But yeah, I think Pitbull's experience is going to get the dub for him.
Yeah, great point. And earlier in an interview this week, Pitbull was saying he doesn't want to reveal too much about his game plan, but he and his team have a strategy, he said. So to me, they're going to come in prepared. A very well-rounded MMA attack, like you said, could be on the horizon. And I'm with me, boy. I like Pitbull at plus 176 to find a way to get this one done. I'll probably go decision ultimately for Patricio Pitbull. However, Tapology's awfully bullish on Keita. 66% is rolling with him, and majority is Brown going for the KO. So they think that Keita will continue his finishing ways against Pitbull, even though Pitbull didn't get finished by two top 10 guys, and Keita's making his debut. So a lot of unknowns in this one. Let's see if we're big brain or if we're sleeping on this next hype beast and potential champion, Low Sane Keita. But any last thoughts on this one, me boy?
No, no, this is a great fight, great levels test, and pumped to see.
Yeah, it's a levels test for sure. Swap us through though. It's the last one that we're breaking down. It's the co-meet of the evening, and it's the opening nerd of this Paris card. We got Mauricio Rufy taking on Benoit Saint-Denis, BSD movement, and this is an interesting one to me because Benoit Saint-Denis is kind of back against the wall at this point. He's a plus 158 dog, Rufy minus 205. You see the back-to-back nerds, right? Co-meet nerd, meet event nerd. Clearly, in my opinion, the UFC is trying to get the double McNerd victory in this one, and Benoit Saint-Denis might be the first casualty. However, similar to the meat event, there's a French opponent, and Benoit Saint-Denis obviously is not going to come in here and just roll over and get easily slept by Murphy, because Benoit is a guy that you might think is older than he is, but he's only 29. The dude has a lot of experience, and you got to give him some credit in that he finally did get a victory most recently, right? He took out Kyle Propolic, but that's Kyle Propolic, and that was a late night or a last second replacement fighter that he was supposed to get the W over. So he got smoked twice by great fighters in Poirier and Moicano, picked up the rebound win against a can. Do you see Mauricio Rufy being more in the Moicano Poirier great fighter conversation, or is he overrated and he's kind of in the Kyle Propolic bum category and we got to pump the brakes on Rufy? Who are you going with?
Yeah, we we might have to pump the brakes, but I don't think it is anytime soon. I think Rufy's going to get this one done. I believe in the nerds. I think this is going to be a nerd sweep this weekend, and yeah, this is going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, and the last time we saw Rufy, he was picking up that beautiful spinning wheel kick on Bobby Green, performance of the night just a few months ago, and one of the best finishes we've seen not only this year but in the last few years for sure, and really sort of reminded everyone why they're calling this guy. I don't know if they're calling him Conor McGregor, but they're comparing his fight style to Conor and how he's loose on his feet, he's picking up beautiful finishes, kicks, punches. The guy's fast. And I think what he just did to King Green was emblematic of that for sure. And it really solidified his hype. And in this one, he's getting a step up in competition, right? Because Benoit Saint-Denis, I mean, we can't forget this dude was fighting against Dustin Poirier in a meat event slot. I mean, this is a guy that the UFC seemingly was ready to get behind, and Dustin Poirier kind of just put a halt to that. So, in my opinion, this is a great opportunity from the UFC's perspective to, all right, Benoit, we believed in you before. Let's see if you can take out one of these nerds, but I don't know. Mauricio Rufy might be that guy. So if you're going with Rufy in this one, do you think he's going to continue to pick up a finish over BSD, or is this going to be a brutal war that goes the distance? Give me more on why you're picking the nerd and how's he get this one done.
Yeah, I think the nerd, his striking, I mean, Rufy just been looking absolutely crazy recently. I think he's gonna get a crazy KO, maybe spinning heel kick, maybe, a fashionable flying knee or something fun. He's a very flashy guy, but he's all well-rounded in everywhere he goes. So I think this is gonna be a one-sided beatdown, and I think this is the last time we see Rufy with such good odds.
Yeah, good point for sure. And we'll see if Rufy gets this one done. Tapology's awfully bullish. 88% is going with him. It's basically all Brown. They think that BSD's getting finished in this one. So officially, Meat Boy, are you going Rufy by finish or decision?
I'm gonna go Rufy by finish.
I'm gonna go Rufy by decision. I think that he wins this fight, but BSD is pretty good, and it wouldn't surprise me if BSD wins a round, maybe even the first round. Ultimately, however, I see Rufy finding a way to win at least two. So I'll go Mauricio by decision. I think he starts the nerd party, and Kyle Borralho finishes it off for this week's Meatlock. But either way, me boy, it's UFC Paris. We broke down five, some scrappers, some hitters. We skipped some bangers for this card, but we chose our five favorites. So any last thoughts on UFC Paris and wrap this thing up?
No, this is a great fight card. Definitely, in my opinion, a step up from last week, last fight card. But this is a great one nonetheless. Super pumped.